In this lesson, we're going to take a look at exporting our audio from a multitrack session and saving the resulting file. Let's assume that we're happy with our overall multitrack edit that we've produced and the arrangement and the overall blend and mix of the different sounds within. So now we are at a point where we need to save this multitrack as an audio file. At the moment, we're still working in that .sesx file, which we can see in the multitrack editor up here, which has got changes to it because we've got that asterisk just there. So the first thing that we can do is actually save the multitrack. So if we double click on the multitrack and go to File, Save, we are now going to be able to save our multitrack. And just like we saw before, we get the same warning or the same information pop up saying that there's one or more media files used within the multitrack that are located outside of the session folder. In this case, we don't need to create a copy of those media files because we know exactly where they're all stored. So I'm going to click on No in this case, and that has saved the multitrack session. So now we're in a position where we can export this multitrack session as an audio file. And the way that we do that is very simple. We go to the multitrack menu at the top of the screen, we go down to Mix Down Session to New File, and then we choose Entire Session. And then Audition very quickly processes all of the clips within the multitrack session, and it gives us a final stereo audio file which opens automatically within the waveform editor. So this, what we're looking at right now, is a combination of all of these different clips but within one stereo audio file, which is our final audio package. Now, one thing that we need to make sure with this final package is that it matches a certain loudness volume so that it's ready to be broadcast. If everybody starts to create different radio packages, chances are everyone is going to have a slightly different volume for their specific mix. So we need to make sure that every person's different mix matches a certain audio standard. And we use something called Match Loudness to do that within Adobe Audition. If we go to the window menu at the top of the screen, about halfway down we can find a panel which is called Match Loudness. Everything's in alphabetical order, so let's find Match Loudness, and that usually tabs by default underneath the Files panel, just here. And in the middle of the Match Loudness panel it says Drag and Drop Supported Media Files here. So let's take our audio file that we've just mixed down from the multitrack, so Transfer Worries Mix Down, and let's click and drag into our Match Loudness panel. And then very simply all we need to do is click Run. And then what Audition does, it will analyse the amplitude of the clip and it will make any necessary adjustments that it needs to. And then it will show you in the stage section here what, if anything, it's actually needed to change. Now in my case, it's not needed to make any amplitude adjustments whatsoever, so I've actually mixed it at the right level, which is good. But if you've got any plus or minus dBs here, or plus or minus decibels, that just means that Audition has made any changes to bring it up to a certain loudness level. And that loudness level is minus 23 lufs. So minus 23 lufs is a number that's specified by the EBU, or the European Broadcast Union, and it basically means that your audio loudness for this particular project matches the audio standards that the EBU require. So if everybody did that for every particular project or radio package, then everyone's package will have the same overall average volume. Now again, if you're just working on very straightforward editing for any of your projects, such as let's say Charlie McDonald _edit for example, you can do the same thing here. So if you don't need to put your clips within a multitrack, you're just working on one sole audio file, you can also click and drag that down and run the process as well. You can see in this instance that my Charlie McDonald clip has been increased by 3.25 decibels. So if we do a quick before and after using the history panel, this is what it was like before and this is what it was like after. So both of these clips, Transfer Worries Mixdown and Charlie McDonald, now have the same average loudness of minus 23. The final thing that we need to do then is save our final mixed down audio file into our master folder. So we can go to File Save or File Save As. It doesn't make any difference in this case because it's a brand new file. And we need to choose where we want to save it to. Now, if you remember when we started to look at the folder structure, there is an exports folder within our master folder. So let's go and navigate to our desktop. Let's find Audition for Radio Part 1. And let's go to Radio Package Master Folder. And I'm going to save my export into this exports folder here. So this is where I can save my final piece of work. So let's click on save, and from there we can click on OK. That will save the audio file. Let's just check in our Finder window to make sure that it has indeed saved. There's my exports folder just there, and there we can see transfer worries mixdown.wav. Now you might have also noticed that any file that you open within Adobe Audition has this file as well, this .pkf or .peak file. And you can see that any of these peak files exist alongside any of the audio files that we've opened within Audition. Now, these are something that Audition creates whether you like it or not. It's better to learn to live with them rather than without them, and basically what they do is they create a visual snapshot of the waveform. So it's something that Audition needs in order to open the audio file, but it's something that it creates. So importantly, it doesn't contain any audio file. This is the file that contains the audio file, the .wav, and it'll be the same for the exports as well. It's the .wav that contains the audio. The peak file is of no use to anybody apart from Audition itself. So you don't need to be too concerned about those files. Just make sure that you are backing up the WAVs for sure. Now that we've saved our exported file, let's go ahead and quit Audition. So let's just go to Audition and quit, or click on the red cross if you're working on Windows. Audition might ask you to save any changes to any files. Charlie McDonald, this is because I've just run the audio file through match loudness, so yes, I'm happy to save that. Transfer worries, this is my multitrack, yes, I'm happy to save that. One or more media files is being used outside of the session. We've already discussed this several times, so I'm going to click on no once more here, and then that quits Audition. Just to show you what will happen if you want to continue working on your multitrack. Here is my multitrack, there it is just there. Importantly, if you only back up this file, remember that the audio files are referenced in here. They are not copied into the multitrack. So you need to maintain this folder structure for your whole project. So let's double click on transfer worries again. Audition should open once more, and it should open the multitrack with the corresponding files that are used within the multitrack, and it should look exactly the same as it did as we last left it. And in this case, it looks exactly the same, which is perfect. So we can continue editing if we need to at this point. In this lesson, we've taken a look at exporting our audio from a multitrack session and saving it as a new file. We've also taken a look at match loudness, as well as saving our audio files and multitracks. That concludes this session, which has been Adobe Audition for Radio Part 1. If you'd like any more advice, please see one of the technical specialists. My name is Matt Lewis, and if you require any more assistance with Adobe Audition, please feel free to contact me or any of the other technical specialists within the Media and Communications Hub.